What if I told you that hidden in the mountains of South Africa is a stone structure? A stone structure that some believe is more than 75,000 years old. If this is true, it would mean it is older than the pyramids of Egypt, older than Stonehenge, older than civilization as we know it itself. If this is true, if it is truly older than 75,000 years, then everything we know about civilization, well, it is wrong. Deep in the Mpumalanga province of South Africa, near a small town known as Dorp, lies a network of stone ruins stretching across thousands of square kilometers. At the center of it all is a site known as the Blaubuschkrol stone ruins, but most people know it by another name, Adam's calendar, a circle of standing stones aligned with the sun that still tracks time to this day. Some say it's the oldest man-made structure on Earth. Others say it is nothing more than a cattle enclosure built just a few hundred years ago. So which is it? A lost prehistoric civilization, or one of the biggest archaeological misunderstandings of our time? To understand the mystery, we need to go back long before modern archaeology, long before aerial photography, and long before anyone called it Adam's calendar. As early as the 1800s, explorers like Theodore Bent reported something strange in this region. Thousands of stone structures spread across the landscape, circular walls, terraces, and pathways connecting them to a vast network. By some estimates, there are 20,000 structures. At the same time, science was beginning to uncover something even more profound. Africa as the birthplace of humanity. Through genetic research, scientists uncovered a common ancestor known as mitochondrial Eve, dating back between 180 to 100,000 years ago, which meant the earliest humans walked this land long before recorded history. Indigenous traditions lay another dimension. Zulu elders call this place Inzalo, the birthplace of the sun. It is sacred in origin, a site of ritual and energy. Ceremonies are held here, aligned with the seasons, with the movement of the sun. And then in 2003, everything changed. A South African pilot known as Johan Heim had been flying over this region for years from above, and he noticed something very unusual. Perfect circles in repeating patterns, geometric precision that he could spot from the air. Then one day, after a crash involving one of his crew, he walked across the landscape and he saw them up close, what he had only seen from the air. Monolith stones aligned, arranged, not randomly, but deliberately. He noticed something extraordinary. When he pulled out his compass, he realized that these stones were aligned with the north, the south, the east, the west. And the more he looked, the more he found. The more he looked, the more he found. He realized that these stones were connected with solstices, equinoxes, and then one tall stone cast a shadow on a flat rock, tracking the movement of the sun. This was a calendar that was still working. Later, author Michael Tellinger gave it a name, Adam's calendar, because if it was real, it could date back to the beginning of humanity. Some researchers have suggested it could be 25,000 years old, 75,000 years old, or even 300,000 years old, which would make it not just ancient, but impossible. Let's break this down. What would it actually take to make something like this? The stones are made of dolerite, a hard, fine-grained indigenous rock, which is local to the area. This means they weren't transported far, and they were likely arranged on site. A solar calendar works by tracking the sun's position throughout the year. As the Earth tilts, the sun rises and sets at different points, at summer solstice, at winter solstice, and at the equinoxes. If the stones are placed correctly, then you can measure time. But here's the big problem. To build a solar calendar, you need a lot of knowledge. You need long-term observation, mathematical understanding, and consistent record level keeping. In other words, a civilization level of knowledge. Here's where things get weird. The site isn't alone. It's part of a massive network, 10,000 kilometers squared, thousands of circular structures, interconnected pathways, and some claim over 1 million ruins exist in South Africa. The design is also quite strange. Many structures have no entrances, are perfectly circular, are connected by channels. Some interpret these as roads, energy pathways, or acoustic systems. Some researchers claim that the stones themselves interact with electromagnetic fields and sound frequencies, suggesting that this site was built using schematics, which is patterns that are formed by sound. Another claim is that the site aligns with Orion's belt. Other ancient sites, such as Great Zimbabwe and the Pyramids of Giza, also do, suggesting a global network. Adam's calendar is not alone. We have Stonehenge in the UK, which has solar alignment and also was used as a ceremonial site. We have Giza in Egypt, which was built with astronomical precision and geometric alignment. And then we have Great Zimbabwe, massive stone structures and trade networks. Across the world, ancient humans were building structures aligned with the sky, but none are claimed to be as old as Adam's calendar, 75,000 years old. Now we hit a core conflict. The site is part of Bokuni settlements, built between the 1500s and 1800s, used for farming, cattle enclosures, and terracing. Evidence suggests settlement patterns, trade routes, and agricultural design. Believers say the alignments, however, are too precise, the structures are too complex, there are no entrances, so how are they used as kraals? And the scale is too massive. This is the remnants of an ancient civilization. Modern archaeology tells a different story. The Bokuni civilization was a late Iron Age society and had advanced farming techniques, terraced agriculture, and trade networks. They built circular homestays, stone walls, and pathways for cattle. The real innovation here is that the terraces were not primitive. They were also soil conservation systems and water management systems, highly efficient and highly advanced for their time. So here is the real question. Why do so many people believe that there is something more? Because there's a gap between what we know and what we want to believe. Humans are wired to see patterns, meanings, and mystery, especially in places like this. What if the greatest histories in human history aren't hidden in the past, but in what we choose to believe?